Yeah! Hello and welcome to this Warno 1v1 ranked game played on Airport Duel. Today we've got some anime thing, which I'm not going to bother reading out, playing 16th Belgium, and he's going up against, it's not delivery, it's Diwarno, playing 82nd Airborne in small text. If you want to learn how to do this, I do have a guide on it. Basically, there's lots of hash codes which will modify your name, and you see that that is hashtag small, open square bracket, open curly braces, type that, and then it comes up like this. You can also do hashtag large. There's about 220 of them, or 202, something like that. And yeah, I've got a guide on that. So we're on Airport Duel, looking at the... First, we'll do a deck review, and then we'll look at the deployments. So, oh, for Pete's sake. So, this is the deck review for 82nd Airborne. Uh, Not a huge amount to say about the division in general. It used to be really OP. Now it's generally considered to be on the weaker side for quite a few reasons. One is that the LGBT used to be very overbearing. That was nerfed significantly. The price went up. The car cost, sorry, the amount you get in a card went down from 2 to 1, and there were some other changes as well regarding like reload times and stuff like that. They were all warranted. LGBTs were overperforming. And the other thing is that the Airborne and the Airborne Dragon are just hilariously overpriced for no good reason. And that becomes more apparent when you, what they call like light rifles. So light rifles, one extra man, a DMR, which is like 2 machine guns. They don't get the AT4 right. They're not airborne. But the fact of the matter is, these two squads should cost about the same, or at least the airborne should be 5 points less, basically. And it gets worse when you look at Airborne Dragon, which is just a very overpriced unit. You know, you're paying 15 points for one less MG, one less man, and forward deployed and shock. And shock is really neither here nor there. The way it's implemented means it's basically useless, unless you're a you know, a satchel squad or something. There's a very few cases where shock actually matters. So I wouldn't say it's useless, but basically the infantry is overpriced. And then the armor's overpriced as well. Like the Sheridan price is just ridiculous. The LAVs are overpriced, and all these things combine to basically make the division not very useful. Oh, this isn't the... Here we go. So let's look at it tab by tab. I mean, yeah, so first thing, there's only 2 cards of supply here, which you can get away with when you've only got one ARTY piece, 1 card of ARTY, and like no tanks. You can get away with 2 cards of supply. And then the forward deployed CV. Yeah, I honestly hate this. I know some people like to bring it, but basically, usually your opponent will see it land, and then he'll chuck a howitzer around at it, and it's a helicopter with 4 HP, so it will just go splat. Infantry tab. Oh, there's one thing to say here. Like, if you want to, so if you're using this to just supply the trucks which go to the front lines, it's more cost efficient to get this because this is 65 points for 2,000 supply, whereas this is 45 points for 1,000 supply, which would be 90 points for 2 supply. Even though, yeah, you can sell them, but if you're using this, if you're putting this near the front line, then it's worth bringing this simply because the Chinook supply, if it dies, you're going to be upset because it's less available and so on. Infantry tab, so yeah, you spam out the airborne, and so you've got a forward deployed leader here. Looks like almost all the leaders are forward deployed. So apart from this guy, who's 9 men for 60 points. Oh, this is 115 for 12. And you get a better rocket launcher. So I would argue that if you want a forward deployed CV, you've already got one for the start of the game. You've got this. You can just use that. And so I would consider swapping this guy out for this guy who's way, way cheaper, literally half the price. The squad is a little bit worse. Oh, I see. It only comes in helicopters. Ugh. Yeah, maybe not. If it came in cars, it would make perfect sense. When it only comes in helicopters, it can be very hard to use because of the same reason why this isn't great. Everybody sees it land, and so they'll be seeing you land. So yeah, I can understand bringing this, although it is an expensive squad. And then 3 cards of Airborne and 2 cards of Airborne Dragon. So that's pretty typical, but and then yeah, Airborne Engineers. I prefer them to the Flash ones because the Flash guys are only 5 men, and it's 5 points less for 5 men, literally half the men. And in town, satchels are better than Flash anyway. In a forest, the Flash is better as a weapon, but generally just having way more guys is twice the strength is generally a better option. And then yeah, the 40mm is sensible now. Basically, I made a video back when these were bad, saying they were bad, and now I get people calling me a disinformation person because it used to be bad. And I said it was bad, but now it's good, and the video's still there, and so they're just like, "Oh, hippies are wrong, misinformation." Yeah. So yeah, I agree with bringing the 40mm. Because yeah, the squad size went up by 1, and the grenade launcher got better, and like there's basically no reason to bring this thing anymore. You either want this because it's literally 12 availability and half the price, or you want the 40mm. And then 2 cards of Toe 2 is quite a bit, but I can sort of understand it given that dragons just aren't that good anymore. They just don't have the range. They're good in forests, which is kind of so they work really well in forests. Like this has 18 pen and this has 17, so this is a more effective forest 18 than this is. Which is very odd, but anyway. So yeah, I understand bringing those. What I would say is consider dropping 1 card of Airborne to bring the AB MP Patrol M67 because the M67 recoilless rifle is very useful because it's got the range. I mean, the accuracy is not great, but it's got the range and it can also shoot against infantry. And once you get good at microing these guys, just basically always having a supply truck behind them, they can engage and shoot and like the enemy can often not shoot back. The enemy infantry often can't shoot back because of the range. And you've got the added bonus of it being military police, so if you put it near your other units, it makes them stronger. So I think that's definitely like a must bring. Sadly, no MP vehicle, right? Other notable mentions, I think gunners are a bit pants because they're like 7 men for 50 points. I've got that bug again. I've got no idea what causes this. I've just got that stuck on my screen. I don't know. Or you can pay the same. Oh no, these are 20 points more actually. Blind me. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, Airborne is so overpriced now that the Airborne gunners for 20 points less get 2 fewer men, 1 more machine gun, and a law, and the availability is the same. It might be worth trying these guys. I mean, the extra machine gun is almost making up for the 2 fewer men. Obviously, law instead of AT4 is a lot worse. I don't know. It might be worth trying them. But there's something quite simple about just spamming Airborne, right? And yeah, it's not going to be a big difference either way. So we'll go to the ARTY tab, and now oh, it's fixed. Ah, interesting. So yeah, between the two of these, I prefer the 105, and I think bringing it in the Humvee is the right option. I think that's very sensible. If you've got an extra point free, you can upvet these and bring 2, but you don't, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, basically this is good for like smoking at the start and stuff, whereas this won't reach, and also generally 105s are better than mortars for damaging. So if you get later into the game, this is not a particularly effective smoke tool because the dispersion's quite tight. Whereas this is quite a wide dispersion. But I think the fact that you can smoke at the start from your spawn can really help you. And it's only 15 points more for what is much better at dealing damage. So tank tab, if you want to call him that. So Sheridan CV. Yeah, I mean, so it's a 3 point slot, and then the alternative would be two more Humvees, which you already got Humvees, and the info tab's full, so I can understand why this has been brought. Regular Sheridans are really pants because they're so overpriced, and then two cards of Humvee Tow is a must bring. But yeah, you could get rid of this. You could deal without that, and and potentially bring, I don't know, another plane. You can bring another LGBT. I mean, if you're using the Sheridan, fine. There is also another way of doing that, and that's you go to Recon tab, and you can get 4 Recon Sheridans instead of 6 regular ones. And this has mediocre stealth and good optics. It does not have the ATGM. It's worth noting. The ATGM was 16 pen and 45% accuracy. So yeah, you can come to your own opinion, but having the mediocre stealth and the good optics is can be useful, and considering it costing exactly the same price, it's pretty interesting. So it might be worth just bringing this. So you'll lose 2 Sheridans, but the Sheridans you will get are better, right? Because they've got the mediocre stealth and the good optics, which means you can store them in tree lines and use them as pseudo recon stuff like that. Just a suggestion. And then yeah, airborne scouts, and he's bringing them in the grenade launcher, Humvee, which I recommend now. Grenade launchers are good now, right? Got to move with the times. 10 points more for a grenade launcher is probably worth it. And then 2 cards of Lav. Yeah, you don't get many per card, sadly, but they are very good. If you sneak them into the back line, you can do a lot of damage, especially because the Bushmaster just wildly overperforms against helicopters because of the 4 pen and everything. You just like basically one tap a 4 HP helicopter, you would kill it in one salvo, depending on your accuracy, right? Usually it's 2, actually. Then between the Recon Helos, this is the Hellfire one, it's quite expensive, or you can spend 1/3 the price and get only very good optics. If you really want exceptional optics, you could get this one, which comes at 1 more availability. If you really want, so this can be very useful at the start because you just send it out and it recons and launches Hellfires at enemy incoming forward deployed transports, which is pretty good actually. So I can understand why you're bringing that one. They've all got their use cases. Except probably this one actually, because it's only got very good optics, and it's the same availability as this with exceptional. If you want some exceptional optics on the ground, you could, let's say you're not using Sheridans at all, you could go for the LRS because they've got the ground surveillance radar. But yeah, it's up to you. AA tab, so this one's pretty straightforward. These things are kind of bad because they take ages to aim and then they explode because the enemy dive bomber jet usually has some like aim 9s on it or the Russian equivalent, and it just launches one while it's doing its bombing run, and it usually gets these. So they're not very good. They take too long to aim. Like they've got to turn first and then they aim, and so they're not great. And so I can understand Avenger Stingers as usually it's a very normal combo, very usual combo. And then Helo tab, so just lots of Apaches, or 2 Apaches, Toe Cobra, yeah, and then 2 Heavy Hogs. The Little Birds, we'll see how useful these are. I always find them really hard to use, just because like they've only got 14 rockets, and they die in one hit 20 man pad and so on, but they are 5 availability at max vet, so something going for it. Between these two, I mean, are you really getting much value out of the Hydra? Maybe you are, right? And then the Heavy Hogs. So the Heavy Hog's an interesting one. Basically, this used to have more range than the regular Hog, because of the Zuni rockets. But then Balance Man, just for some reason, made all the Hydra 70s have max range, and then he simultaneously nerfed all the Soviet rockets to go from max range to the one below max range, so 2100. And now the Hydra's got the same range as the Zuni, and you get 76 Hydras or 16 Zunis, and the total damage, of course, is higher on the regular Hogs. But the Heavy Hog will shoot all its rockets off pretty fast, which can be useful if you've got, and then it can resupply them, you know, pretty quickly within 30 seconds because I believe it supplies both simultaneous. Well, in fact, yes, it's 32 supply costs, so basically free supply. So I think if you can micro the heavy hogs better, it might be better. But if you really want to kill somebody, you want the regular hog. But if you just want to like zoom in, drop your rockets, and get out as fast as possible, the heavy hog's probably better. It's like a personal choice thing. And then this is sort of like stuck on my screen, but basically it's got stingers on it, and then 14 rockets, and it's just not very good. Air tab. Okay, that's just staying there, is it? What is going on with this game today? There we go. Air tab. So two cards of Eagle, a card of Seed, two cards of F-16 AT, and then an LGBT. So okay. I mean, so basically this is how I would be building it. The also like so the F-15C Eagle is basically the best fighter in the game. It's got the AMRAAMs on it. It's very, very effective, but it costs 280 points. Whereas this is not actually that much worse and is literally 95 points less. So what you can do, and what I like to do, is swap one of these out for this. Because you'll have situations where you need a fighter right now because there's an enemy bomber coming in and you won't be able to afford the Eagle because it's 280 points, but you would have been able to afford a Phantom. So it's just worth keeping in mind. I mean, if you're going for more of like a late game air spam, then I guess 4 Eagles might make sense, but I prefer 1 card of each. The Seed, yeah, the F-16 AT is like incredibly good now that the Mavericks have 60% accuracy. It generally only shoots like 1. In 1 pass, it can usually only shoot 1. But yeah, it is really good. And then the LGBT for the enemy infantry, and yeah, I mean it's still just so good. It's still really, really good. I can't remember if it drops 1 at a time now or if it still drops both at once. Oh, salvo length 1, so it only drops 1 at a time, which makes it less good against tanks now. But you've got 4 F-16 ATs. So, yeah, I like to bring both because I just think it's really, really good. You could also get rid of 1 card of F-16 ATs, you know, get that 3 thing back if you really want your Sheridans or your Recon Sheridans or your LRS or something. So that's it for 82nd. Going up against him, his opponent is playing 16th Belgium. So this is a div I've been playing a lot, and yeah, I've been playing it a lot. It's really not that great. So yeah, go through it tab by tab. So first thing first, right? So why get the one with 2 availability when you can get the one with 3 availability? Do you really need the gun? They've both got smoke. Do you really need the gun? The 50 cal. Do you really need that? Probably not, right? So you can get this. The alternative, which I do recommend you do, actually, is bring the Humvee CV. In fact, what I do is I bring both. So 4 cards of supply is a lot. If you've got grads firing all game and you don't want to bring a fob, you need 4 cards of supply. If you've got 4 paladins, you don't need 4 cards of supply. So you can get rid of one of them. Doesn't really matter which one. This thing is really expensive, but you can use it to resupply the cheap ones, but I find it easier to just have loads of cheap ones. It's up to you which one you keep. And then you've got forward deployed CV, right? But anyway, so there were 2 CVs in this tab before we looked at it. 4, 6. It is on the low side, only having 6. I've seen people bring 5. I've seen people bring 5 and lose on CVs, so it's up to you. But that's how I would build it. Inf tab, so yeah, the Fusiliers, you kind of have to bring them. And yeah, I bring them at 1 vet as well. They're very expensive for what they are, but the forward deployment is cool. And then the 50 cals, I no longer recommend the 50 cals because the regular 7.62s had their strength go up to 4. And the more I play the game, the more against that change I am. Because now this is 15 and this is 35 and the strength is the same and you literally get it at 2 vet and get 6. So I like to get 2 vet at 6. That's how I do it. Milan 2 in the car, yeah, you want it to get there fast. Pioneers, the Pioneer Flam is using this Halfa thing, which I think is a hand flam patron, which is garbage, so just don't bring that. So I understand bringing the regular Pioneers. Although, having said that, this is actually cheaper. But they've got literally 9 Uzis, right? Whereas these guys have a machine gun as well, and some proper guns. And this thing only has 7.62 on it. And you know, 3 armor is useful, I guess. But I don't know, I mean, neither of them have smoke. Neither of them have smoke. Maybe this is worth bringing just for the armor. I personally would be bringing these in the M113, A1B, or the car, but this can work because it's got the armor. It's a shame it's not got smoke on it, but then it probably costs 25. Pioneers RL83, yeah. So yeah, once again, I mean, the DPS of this, because it's only 7.62, is really really low. Like this deals almost, I think it's like 1.5 times the damage. It's got more range. It's good against helicopters. I prefer this, but you know, maybe this can work. We'll see in the game, right? And then 3 cards of Mech Fusilier. Yeah, in this thing, yeah, it can work. But you're missing, and then like a CV infantry, right? But you're missing the best part of this div, which is that you can bring the reservists in a non-reservist transport. This is very rare. If you think about reservist and oh no, they don't count. The French reservists on 152 EZ come in the reservist VAB, and like the National Guard reservists on America come in the reservist M113, whereas these guys come in a regular M113, and you can get 3 cards of them. So I usually bring 2 cards of them. So I think the way I run it is I get rid of that, and I actually don't think I run the Pioneers, but I definitely have both of these tabs kept up. Or actually, yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I actually don't have this, and I think I do leave this one empty. And then I'm bringing literally 24 reservists in M113s. I think more recently I've tried to mix Prevost into it, the military police guys, but they don't have a military police car, which is really annoying. So, yeah, you're missing the best part of Belgium, which is that they get the reservists in a regular transport. That's really good. It's very rare, and they get so many of them. You're missing the best part. But yeah, I do also bring the Pioneer RL83. However, you've missed something else, I think. No, never mind. My bad. So yeah, between these two. Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, I don't bring this one. I bring this one because it's 15 points less for the same rocket launcher. It's obviously got 2. Hang on. It's obviously, yeah, it's got 2 fewer men, but it's also got 2 machine guns. Machine guns fight like 2 men. You don't have shock, right? But yeah, I'm actually not bringing the Pioneer RL83. I'm actually bringing the Mech Fusilier RL83. And I think I vet it a bit like that. ARTY tab, in a 1v1, are you really buying 4 paladins? If you are, usually you lose, because that's about 4 minutes income, right? Well, okay, it's more like 3. It's about three and a bit minutes income, just on heavy ARTY. Maybe you are. But what is also worth doing is upvetting these once. In 10v10, I bring 4 because I lose them to 56Y cluster counter battery thing that aims in 12 seconds and is just generally an absurd unit. But in 1v1, I bring 2 upvetted like this, and then I put one of these CVs next to them. and then they're coming at 2 vet, and then you don't have to buy the same thing over and over again. And then yeah, getting some mortars is sensible. If you want mortars for smoke, it's probably best to get this one because you get 2 more and it's 15 points less. But if you want mortars a bit more generally, this is probably worth it. I used to bring this. In fact, I might still do so instead of the toad mortar, and that's simply because you can smoke from your spawn. And then you can run in with your forward deployed CV, your forward deployed Fusiliers, and your forward deployed Humvee Toad too. So I'm glad you're bringing that because it's really good. And I'm glad you're not bringing the JPK 90 because it's just ridiculously overpriced. And then, yeah, between these, you've got the Leopard 1A5, which is the good one. And yeah, I bring that at 1 vet, and I bring the CV Leopard 1A5. Then you've got the Leopard 1BE, and then it's a case of, so he's got 2 at 2 vet and 1 at 1 vet, which is, which I've seen done, and I do in rare occasions. Are you really bringing that many tanks? What you could do is down vet one of these. So you get 12 of these, which is probably going to be enough when you add together the other 7 Leopard 185s. Get rid of that and bring an Iltis Milan too. Because as this div, what you want to be doing is defending. You want to get early points off at the start with your Humvee CV, and then you want to be defending with your 50 cals, your Milan 2s, your Toad 2s, your Milan 2s. These tanks are good at sniping things, which means they're, good on the defensive, basically, because they've got nice guns. You don't really want to be charging across open fields with this tank. It's just more of a defensive division. But yeah, you do have offensive options in that you can spam reservists everywhere. So I would be bringing it like that. I'd be bringing as many ATGMs as you can because these aren't going to kill heavy tanks anyway. So, you know. And by dropping these to 1 vet, right, before you had 8 plus 6, which is 14, and now you've got 12. Yeah, so you've still got a very similar number of tanks. Recon tab, so the snipers, yeah. You've missed a trick here. You've missed a big trick here. So the ESR GVP, Recon Airborne Forward Deployed, and it comes in a helicopter. So you can get Airborne Forward Deployed helicopters, which means they get to places really, really fast at the start of the game. So you've really missed a trick by bringing them in the trucks. This thing, sure, I mean, there are other options. I like to pad this tab out quite a bit. Are you going to run out of infantry? Obviously, in the old configuration without the reservists, yeah, you probably would have run out of infantry, so it makes sense to have this. But with the new configuration, you're probably not, right? So I like to bring this because it's got exceptional optics, and then I put it with my tanks, so my tanks can actually see something and use their guns at max range. Sadly, it's only 4 availability. Other notable mentions, the drone is useful, the scimitar can be useful. AA tab, so this is another one of those things, right? So it's a shame you don't get 2-carded minstrels. Who knows? If I was in charge of bouncing this div, I'd give him a 2nd-carded minstrel. I'd make this IFV 5 points cheaper. I'd make where is it? Interesting. I'd make there's another IFV. Yeah, I'd make this IFV 5 points cheaper. Make this IFV 5 points cheaper. These Pioneer RO83s I'd make 5 points cheaper, and I'd give him a 2nd-card of minstrels. Anyway, are you buying 10 Gepards in a game? Are you really? Probably not, right? So you can get rid of one of these, and then you can get this, which is forward deployed, but it is honestly garbage, so I don't recommend it at all. Or you can get more planes, which sadly hasn't occurred here because we are overspent by 1 point. Or you could get more recon, right? So the drone, perhaps, or the scimitar. Yeah, the helos, there's two of them. There's a good one and a bad one. Between the two of them, I mean, you're paying... So the main thing's the availability. I'd rather have 4 helos. And it's like, oh, well, it gets 4 less tow twos. There's very, very few situations. Actually, it's quite rare to go through more than 4 tow twos and still be allowed to stand there. Usually somebody has killed you by then. Or you have to fall back because somebody's shooting at you. And then here, yeah, you bring the Helo Hunter guys, right? And then this one is the good bomber, yes. And then you bring the cluster, yes. Very good planes, these two. So yeah, the 3 cards of supply. What is this? Is it so? What you could do is also right. So that's now 4 points, and now you can get an extra fighter or something, or you know, 2 more recon, right? It's up to you how you build your div, right? But that is just some suggestions for you. So let's go back to the game. So looking at the deployments, we've got anime weeb winky face thing. Playing 16th Belgium, who also gets Humvee Tow 2s, which is why I was getting a bit confused there. Same unit, different day, right? Except these guys come at 1 vet. And these guys are not coming at 1 vet. They don't actually have stabilizer accuracy, it's just the stat card's wrong and they just can't be bothered fixing it. Anyway, so, you know, if you got a forward deployed Humvee Tow 2, yeah, putting it there is great. You might even be able to get it to there, but then, yeah, you risk being shot from the town. Or you could get it up to here, perhaps. But yeah, there's fine. And then sniper. So as we spoke about in the deck review, the Belgian players really missed out on not bringing the airborne forward deployed recon guys who could have just para-dropped straight into Echo and got there at the same time as Red's guys. And we've not covered Red's deployment yet. But yeah, obviously they've got forward deployed AA, which does make it a lot harder. But, you know, if you just drop all 6, you can get there. I don't know. In this matchup, it's not that useful, but usually it's quite useful. So forward deployed Fusiliers go in here, but it's like, you know, if you've got a forward deployed unit, why waste it on such a conservative place? Don't you want it over here somewhere? Recon Helo. You've already got the sniper covering this area that the Recon Helo is going to cover, but I guess sending this over here lets you know if there's somebody coming here, and in the 1 in a million chance that there's not, then you can path this guy up to there, so I can understand why that's been done. Then 50 cal to there, that's an interesting one. Why not in the building? What's it going to do there that it's not going to do here? Yeah, 1 here. So just like massive investment here. I mean, you're against 82nd Airborne, so yeah, maybe we'll rush you here. But even then, like, that is not as useful as putting it here, for example. Or putting it here. It's worth noting that this is a church, and religious people can see further than atheists. So if you're an atheist, you can't see that far, right? But if you're a religious person, you can see pretty far. But the Book of Marx is a religion, and so this comedy block can see pretty far as well. And you know, working for EasyJet, that's religion as well. So air traffic controls can see pretty far too. The law is becoming quite complicated. It used to be so simple because this didn't used to be in the game and that didn't used to be in the game. It was just the church. It was everything unless it was a church. But, you know, I suppose really it's a lot like real life, right? Communism was only invented in the 1900s, right? Or late 1800s. It wasn't put into practice until 1917. Look how well that went. And, you know, when were aeroplanes invented? Right? So it's just like real life. You know, religion is being drowned out by these modern amenities such as communism and, you know, aeroplanes. So, yeah, 50 cows, we spoke about those. Pioneer and the nice logo. I mean, this is a big investment here. Big investment here. Minstrel there as well. Man, 2 here? Why? You want that up there so it can actually shoot something. Or at least in the church. And a CV for, yeah, Papa. Yeah, Fusiliers going to Foxtrot and so on. Humvee Tow 2 forward deployed, so I'm surprised. I'm very surprised by that. Why not just path it to here? It is a forward deployed unit. Why send it over here and then to there and then to there? Like, you're gonna get to here the roughly the same time the enemy one, if it is coming, gets to there. And so yeah, if you get it here, you can stop people barreling down this road as well. Whereas I don't know, it just seems like a waste of time. Another recon helo going to there. We got sniper also covering that lane. So and then okay, so another Humvee. But this is a forward deployed device. You want to use it to gain ground early, right? So there, it's not really helping you out. What you can do is, you know, if you want to come over here somewhere, is you can get it to there, and then you can shoot his guys as they come in. Maybe force panic unload, stuff like that. And then potentially you might be able to get this Fusiliers in there. You know, if you're forcing panic unloads by putting a... I'm trying to think of the best place for it. Like, here's really good, because they come down this road, and if he starts panicking, then you can get your Fusilier that is here up to there, stuff like that. CV for Bravo. And then, right, so 50 cal, Minstrel, Milan 2, Leopard 1 coming over here, and Gepard. So looks like anime ninja thing is preparing for the long game. But as we saw in the deck review, he doesn't have any reservists and stuff like that. He does have a lot of tanks. Tanks which all die in one hit to a TOW2. So, interesting matchup. Switching to his opponent's deployment. Small open curly braces. It's not delivery, it's Diwarno. Close curly braces. So Humvee TOW2 coming over to there. Yeah, it can work. I mean, obviously the enemy does have Airborne deployed, but he's doing some wacky who knows what thing, so maybe this will actually get there. And then... Oh, wow. Okay, so he's just going straight for it. So, yeah, that can work. We'll see. And then, yeah, capping this. AB Stinger... So, you know, the AB Stinger, right, you could put it here and then it would have airport control tower vision. I don't know, there can work if you're expecting somebody coming in over here. TOW2 to the airport control tower for the vision, yes. And airborne scouts going to there. And then more people. So forward deployed CV coming over here. And yeah, an airborne dragon and a TOW2 is probably sufficient. The TOW2 is probably a bit overkill, actually. I mean, it might be worth just bringing another infantry unit, putting it there. Because, like, what is this for? If the enemy's running at you with 10 million infantry, this isn't going to matter. So this is really just if he's attacking you with tanks. Having said that, this build is actually really good. I never realized that. It turns out that office workers who are next to... what even is this? Why is there a chimney stack coming out of the ground? Interesting. Anyway, turns out office workers who are next to esoteric chimney stacks which come out of the ground and don't actually seem to be connected to any factories or anything, they can also see further than atheists. So yeah, you could get pretty good sightline down that road actually. So yeah, maybe it makes sense. But generally, this is the better place to put it. But I assume there's also one going there because of this. Yeah, there is. So Stinger, Dragon, TOW2, yep. Scouts. So, can be worth, right? I mean, the 2 dragons is a lot. It can be worth opening with a supply for this TOW2, because it will run out really fast. Because as things come up and down this road, it starts running out. And down this road, it just starts shooting. It's really annoying, actually. But yeah, we'll cast the game, and we shall do so from this perspective. Right, so they're off, and it's time for me to thank the generous channel joiners generously joining the channel. They get their names on the screen, they get the videos early, they get members exclusive videos. At the higher tiers, they get their games cast. They get made fun of if they forget to path 40mm there. And yeah, it's a great way to support the channel. At the higher tiers, it's basically the closest thing you can get to Warno coaching, to my knowledge. I mean, there might be somebody else offering something that I don't know about. You know, if you get a tier 2 or tier 3 membership, you can send me a game, 1 per calendar month, and I'll point out the strengths, the weaknesses. You'll learn something. You know, if you beat your friend and you want 1,500 people to know about it, great way, you know. Or if you want to learn, you know, you tend to learn more from losses, basically. So that Alouette, went the same way as the other one, and that's to be expected, really, opening recon helos into 8-second airborne. So this grenade launcher will kill these guys really fast, actually. Whoa, there they go. That was like 2 volleys, maybe even... Salvo like that was 1 volley, so it was a reasonable look. Whoa, look at that sick micro, bro. So to get that airborne dragons there faster, he loaded them up so he could get them there. So that's very high level. It's very high level gameplay. I don't think I have anything left to teach these two people. If they could do that, that's pretty sick. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So this thing doing the crazy path was obviously really dumb, and now it's dead. So. Hopefully you learned something there. And yeah, so these guys not doing much of anything, and this has been lost. So you gotta it's just about the map, right? You gotta be like, okay, so where are the zones? I'm against 82nd Airborne. He's gonna rush somewhere. Where's he gonna rush? Okay, it's probably gonna be, so this is technically red zone, right? And this is technically blue zone. And yeah, so anime ninja person thought that they would rush Papa, but that's so far away, right? It's a lot easier to rush Foxtrot, and that could have been fixed by having 2 of those Humvee TOW2s in the right place. Like having one here is not, doesn't really make sense. He's not coming this way. It's very rare for that to happen, and if he does, he got this one too. So if there had been 2 of those here and they'd been put into the right place at the right time, right? So one here looking down that road, right? And the other one like here looking down that road, then those guys never would have been able to get in here, or at least they would have been a lot slower. So eagle out for Diwarno, and that's very sensible, because basically people are like, okay, exposed enemy infantry, I'll buy bomber. It's very common for that to happen. So now Kensoku here is trying to move up, but yeah, we see this grenade launcher again, so it's the same again there. 2 men dead in 1 volley. They are very good. But things have changed. As you know from the deck review, which you didn't skip, right? I get a lot of people telling me that I'm a misinformation specialist because in my support weapons thing I said don't bring the grenade launchers. That was when they were bad. They're good now. You should be bringing them. Like the 50 cal in general is like the worst of the fire support teams. Wow, it really is doing 2 damage per shot. 2 damage per volley. That was like 3. He was in the open, but they do pure damage against buildings. Basically, there's no building cover reduction thing. So, yeah, so a bit of a weird one for red in that he's got the zone, but he needs to get the CV in there. And I got a bad feeling about that. Although, that is not in the right place. Although I suppose if it was, it would get shot by that. So, this, that. I guess people who are listening won't know what I'm on about. There's a Leopard 1 BE here. BE stands for Belgium. And there's a Humvee TOW here. And so if the Leopard 1 BE moves to a place where it can intercept this Humvee CV, which you will see because of this, it will die to the Humvee TOW. But, you know, he could move forward, shoot that, smoke, right? The Eagle's going for this, it'll probably get it. I said this again. Oh, it landed. It landed and it made it. So good reaction. Okay, it went to low altitude and it lost vision. That must have been it. Yeah. So that's going to be a +2 to Diwarno. I wonder if he's a fan of... what do they call it? Never mind. So, yeah, buying an ARTY piece when you're behind is usually not a good idea, but when you're against Airborne, you can sort of understand the need. But really, you'd want, like... So this, for example, is 90 points, and this is 210. So you could have got 2 more of these, right? And as you can see, this has accomplished nothing in the same time that it's taken these guys to get here. So imagine if you were attacking with 2 more of these right now, you'd take this. Having said that, this thing being here is very annoying. Basically, what blue needs to do is to attack from like here, but then, yeah, to attack from like here, or attack from here across this field. So, because yeah, the issue is this. I mean, their works as well, right? Coming this way is sensible actually. The dragon is the problem, because this will one-shot those IFVs. So you need recon with this. Like, blue doesn't have any recon. That Humvee was in a bit of an odd spot, though, like, just standing there. But yeah, so there you go. So that's sort of what I was on about with it moving forwards and shooting. I guess this is the recon, but there is a stinger there, so it can't get too close. In fact, it's about to find out. And, you know, this could be moved to there, right? There goes that recon. And that's a fire and forget missile, so smoking doesn't do anything to it. Doesn't lose its tracking, I guess. But it did die to... Did this fire? Yeah. To the Gepards there. So that was actually a pretty big loss for blue. This Hellfire is probably going to go down as well. And this is the problem with those, right? They are good, but they're so expensive, and they die so easy. Like, if that hadn't got it, the Minstrel would have. So, yeah, blue's attack got some, but he lost both his tanks. I think, not sure what killed them, actually. Oh, it must have been this thing. And, you know, this should be firing at that toe, yeah. So, yeah, red in command, but this is basically what you'd expect from an 82nd Airborne game. They should have the lead at the start, and then you should slowly be able to out-swarm them. But with the way Blue's built his deck, like no reservists and stuff, this attack could be going a lot better if he had some reservists running over that field with the tanks behind. But yeah, the sort of game plan from the Airborne divisions, I do like this a lot, actually. I think this is very smart. It might get spotted, though. Gotta be careful. But yeah, he just keeps buying these. I'm pretty sure that's his last one now. Because you get, what, 3 or 4 per card? And he had 2 at the start. They both died. And then there's this one, which is either the 3rd or the 4th. So yeah, this is cool. Good vision. But the main problem is that you just can't see guys in buildings until they start shooting you. And then you're dead. So it's very annoying. And, you know, like, this needs taken out, really. If I was in Red's position, this guy would have moved after getting a few. Well, there you go. I guess that's the first time he's fired. But after you fire a few, you know, you just move to the building behind. Because of the way this works, you can actually still see, you know, the enemy there. So, yeah, Humvee's coming in. I mean, imagine if you had a mortar for smoke, right? You could smoke here. Here's where you'd smoke to stop both of these from shooting you guys here. Then you can have your fire support there. The alternative would be to attack from this angle, because then this shouldn't be able to shoot, depending on what you're hiding behind, and this shouldn't be able to shoot. If there was one here, it would be able to shoot, though, which there isn't, but obviously you don't know that. So there you go, going for the toe positions. This is why you got to move. As soon as you get a kill with a toe 2, especially a toe 2, because they're so expensive, just move it one building to the left or right every single time. Oh, you got a kill? Move it. Right, so this could have gone there, and it would have been fine. Here, and here as well, because this is an airport control tower one. Can actually see over the top of this one. So Sneed's out, and it goes for the Gepards. Yeah, so there's not enough minstrels there, really. You don't really want to be relying on the Gepards. I'm not sure what's going on here. Yeah, so you want to, if you're Belgium, you always want to be fighting under 3 minstrels, because your tanks are sort of magnets for planes, basically. But yeah, perhaps a few too many planes here for Diwarno. Like, so if you consider this, right? So it got a Gepard, which is cool, right? But now it's dead. But even if if that hadn't happened, imagine instead spending, what was it, 230 points. This is obviously more on. You could have had 2 of these, right? You could have had 2 dragon infantry, because yeah, blue's coming in here now. He's managed it. Diving those minstrels was very, very optimistic, simply because minstrels do have very high accuracy, and they are firing spaghetti, right? 70% accuracy, and there's every chance that both of them are going to hit. So that's not great. No supply here though for blue, like no recon, no. Oh no, actually there is a supply. Take it all back. No recon. He just keeps buying these. Right, here's another one. Like, from the deck review, we only had 1 card, but I feel like I just keep seeing them. Oh, I think I'm going to sneeze as well. I'll just edit it out. if it happens. So, slowly being pushed back here is red, and a lot of that has to do with just too many plane purchases, really. It should have been an extra couple of infantry here. You don't just fully stack this, but you can either try and move up to here, which relies on some smoke mortaring, or you try and get this, and then, you know, with your dragon guys, you'd be shooting them all in the sides. So this is important if you want to hold on to this zone. But instead he went for too many planes, so now he's being pushed out. But yeah, pretty good showcase of the Belgian dynamic where, yeah, you get loads of tanks, but they all die one hit to these toes, so you got to be proper on point with your micro, and you got to have more recon with your troops. From the deck review, we know that he didn't bring the exceptional optics M113 thing, so that is a problem. And yeah, so F-16 at that distance probably should have just dived it, but at least he'll survive. So I guess it's well, so if he dived it, he definitely would have died. So I guess what he did was the right call. But if I was the F-15, I wouldn't have turned away there. I would have kept going a bit, but obviously then, yeah, you'd be flying over the enemy minstrels. So whatever. Both players clearly better than me. Well, another thing I noticed is that this anime ninja person has turned off his Uzis on his manpads, which is actually really smart because otherwise they can just start shooting and give away their position. Having said that, the Uzi is only 500 meters range. You've got much more of a chance of that happening on this unit, for example. Say 850 meters. But yeah, I think just an overinvestment in air for Red has really cost him that zone. He could have held on to it for a bit more, but he's got a nice lead, right? And he's just got to be moving his stuff a bit more. But yeah, imagine if Blue actually bought some recon infantry. Like, he had 3 cards of it, right? The RL-83s, the guys which he brought in the wrong transport, and the snipers. So if he had those, these would be getting corrected shot. And that would be helping. And also, he should have a CV next to these so that they can reload and fire faster. Very, very important. But yeah, it just comes down to what we spoke about in the deck review, which you didn't skip. So I'd be repeating myself, you know. I don't want to repeat myself. You just got to go back and watch the deck review. I definitely don't just say the same 3 things over and over and over again over the course of a 40-minute game. Anyway, we spoke about this CV being the bad one because it's only 2 per card and you don't really need the machine gun in the deck review. And yeah, if you got the sort of one, like, where's that even going? Just letting him tick up. Letting him tick up. You hate to see it. But yeah, I really lament the lack of smoke from either player. I think smoke mortars would have helped both sides here, depending on how they were used. So Red could have smoked this and got some infantry into these buildings, right? That would have been very helpful. Or smoked this and, you know, got some guys in that building. Well, he's going for the AT-4. He switched off his machine guns because it's got less than 1 armor. It would actually start shooting the machine gun if you just right-clicked it, and it would stop. The assault rifle, sorry. I know I'm going to upset some Americans. No, it's actually a purpose-built weapon system. You have to build it into your... what do they call it? When those arms guys they talk about your workspace. You've got the gun out here, then you got to bring it into your workspace, and then you gotta ratchet it in your workspace. But anyway, you know, this fired a lot of times, so it should have moved, and it hasn't, and now it's dead. This guy, I don't know if he moved it or if the guy's just getting the wrong building. Looks like he's basically just hitting everywhere. But yeah, after your toe shoots, you gotta move it. Same with these Humvee ones. You just move it like 10 meters to the left. Not 10, I guess. Well, because of the way the game scaling works, this is obviously not a 100-meter distance. If you've been outside, you would know that. Every distance in this game is multiplied by 2.83. So yeah, like, so from here to there is not 500 meters. It's more like, what, 200 meters? And, you know, if you've been outside, if you zoom in, you'd be like, yeah, that is more like 200 meters, let's face it. Might even be less, you know. Anyway, he finally got his thing up. And there goes the tick. So now 20 minutes for Red to cling on. I think clinging on he should be fine at, but he needs some more infantry in here, really. A couple Dragon 2s. You know, a bit of the old, couple more, like one more Stinger, I guess. Like two's fine. And yeah, just dealing with these basically very difficult. But yeah, see, you see this guy, he's fired and he's not moved. So once that dies, interesting. That was just really unlucky, actually. So that's a 60% accuracy plane that we just saw fly past and die. That missed. And this is a 70% accuracy thing, and that also missed. So that, that was really unlucky. Having said that, it wouldn't have made a huge amount of difference. Let's say you kill this. You're not getting back in that zone, right? It's still blue. But basically, blue needs to push. And the question is, where will the hammer fall? He's got some options, right? He could try coming over here and shooting over here. He could try coming over here, which is a lot harder, but that is where all his stuff is. But did you see how the TOW 2 second thing went over here? And that's because this game uses the Steel Division 2 targeting system, and they just never bothered to change it. Basically, if you put a tank next to like a bunch of tanks or whatever, it'll shoot it till it gets low cohesion, and then it'll swap to the next one and shoot that till it gets low cohesion. And the reason for that is that low cohesion in Steel Division 2 means you can't shoot. So it makes sense, if you're a machine gunner and there's infantry coming at you, it makes sense for you to go brrr, or daka daka daka, you know, it depends, right? If it's a Bren, it's more like pew, 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 pew. Anyway, that's more of a Maxim sound, really. But it makes sense to shoot them until they can't shoot back, and then shoot the next one until he can't shoot back. In Warno, they can still shoot back. So you get really weird situations like that, where it will just shoot the wrong thing. And if you right-click it, the guy will just leave the building. So it is annoying. Anyway, hopefully we get another example of that here. Because basically, this will basically stun those in 1 or 2 volleys. They are a bit too strong at the moment, I would say. Maybe it should be 3 volleys before they get stunned, not 2. But by the time you're watching this, maybe there'll be a new patch out, and then you'll call me disinformation specialist again. But yeah, I don't know, the grenade launcher implementation in this game is really weird. But you see this guy's now shooting, now they know where he is. He's got exceptional stealth, they wouldn't have known otherwise, and now he's getting smacked around. So you gotta be very, very careful. And the Belgian guy, I just wish he'd use some smoke, man. He'd have such a better time if he was smoking. And, you know, I can sort of understand Diwarno's thing to be like, I must kill the AA so I can use my planes. But he's just losing his planes. And these are 80 points, and the planes are 230, 260, right? And, you know, blue should really be leaning more on the minstrels and less on the gepards. But, yeah, so basically, Diwarno here didn't actually put much infantry in here. And now he's getting smacked about a bit. But he's got the helicopters, and he's got the supply for them as well. So you see this is already... And that's so strange, that they only shot 1 set. Right, no, you should stick around and fire the other 8. Come on. You've still got 8. This is so sad. Anyway, I'm quite surprised that this can't shoot that. Can he not see that? I don't think he can actually see it. But yeah, trying to get in over there is something... one thing you can do as red is build up here loads. And then you get a cheeky recon healer over, which you can't really do when they're 120 points, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, there's somebody in this... There's usually somebody in this building, but not somebody in this building. So you see the guy in that building, and you hit him with your 105s or whatever, and then you just zoom in and you take it all. Or you just smoke this, so it can't shoot its toes, right? That is a very... I was going to say it's a very dead eagle, but this actually missed, and so did the other one, so interesting. And so yeah, you could smoke that and then zoom in and then own this zone. Generally, if you're airborne, or generally if you're an infantry... Generally, if you're any division, you should be spamming out the smoke. Smoke is like the most powerful tool in this game if you know how to use it. It's also one of those things where if you use it wrong, you could actually make your life a lot harder. But yeah, one thing I was going to say before I lost my train of thought for like the 10 millionth time is that red can try and get some guys behind... Oh, there you go, another 120 thing just randomly dying there. Although actually, well, a fighter did die for that. This really shouldn't be happening. There were a lot of eagles around. Yeah, there you go. So that did go down there. Like, this should have a smoke with it. But yeah, I don't know about these 3 armor vehicles. I feel like the M113s, the reservists, would be much better. I mean, it is working. But I think this is mainly because Red just bought way too many planes and is now, like, look how many blue units there are. But generally, this is the dynamic that Belgium gets a lot of guys, and you see, yeah, but they die easy. And he's done a great job with the howitzers. You'll note that this isn't close enough to buff this one. But he's done a great job with him, and Red hasn't really tried to kill him, so that was what I keep trying to say but losing my train of thought. And you could get a Humvee Tow 2 and Avenger Para and try, because you need to bring the AA with it, because there's usually a helicopter, right? And then you try and get that to the ARTY. I mean, it is difficult. It costs you basically a minute's income, and it might not work. But if you're Red, you've really got no answer to this, rather except 105s, which don't kill that. But yeah, 82nd, a bit weak at the moment for this reason. That stuff's quite expensive. Like their airborne and stuff, their airborne dragons could do with being a little bit cheaper. Their Sheridans are a bit expensive. We've not actually seen any of those yet. We'll talk about that in the deck review. Are you buying those Sheridans? Because there's other things you could be doing with that money. And so they get pushed back quite fast, but it depends on the skill of the players involved. Obviously, generally at lower ranked games, attacking is harder, and so the comparative power of the airborne divisions is higher because defending is easy, right? People learn to defend much faster than they learn to attack because defending is easy. You just buy loads of stuff and put it in a line. Whereas this guy is going to get what? That one bounced. Anyway, there should be a Humvee Tow 2 here, which is coming actually, and yeah. And if you're the airborne player, you could spam smoke on the whole map and make it a lot harder for people to push you out of zones by smoking everything, cutting off their fire support with the smoke. But yeah, swings and roundabouts. I mean, it's a beautiful game. It really is. I just wish I wasn't so negative all the time, you know. So yeah, the heavy hogs, if you know how to micro them, you can use them a lot. I mean, really, the supply could just be here, but then obviously you get the problem where the howitzers might see it and start shooting it. But the thing is, they've got no staying power. As we spoke about in the deck review, if that was a regular hog, he'd have 76 rockets, and these guys would still be coming over this field. So it's up to you which one you prefer. I think the regular hogs are better now that the range has been increased. So, yeah, this didn't get pathed away, and is this on a move order? No, it's not, but it didn't. Weird, didn't stop to shoot. Well, he was quite lucky there that this missed and that wasn't shooting for some reason. But yeah, this is another thing that attackers struggle at, bringing AA with their attack. And there you go, he gets routed now because he just kept flying over that gap for some reason. But yeah, imagine if there'd been, 40mm here. LAV there. None of this would just be walking in. But generally, yeah, generally right now the way 8-second Airborne works is you take a ground and then you're good against heavy armor, basically, because you just put loads of toes everywhere, and then the enemy with his IFVs and his heavy armor can't really move up. Whereas Belgium is just, here is my imp. And 8-second does struggle against that because, what are you going to do? Shoot with a Sheridan? Inf doesn't kill Inf in this game. I mean, it does very, very slowly, right? But generally, the way you kill things is you two imps spot each other, and then your high vet artillery starts shooting one, or your IFE starts shooting one, or your plane comes and shoots one. You don't really want imp to just be sat there shooting imp for 30 seconds. Generally, you always want to be backing up with the fire support, and 80 seconds fire support is all ATGMs. So it's great against, I can shoot the enemy T-80 BV, but if somebody just runs at you with a bunch of reservists, or in this case, everything other than the reservists, you're going to struggle. So, Our man Kensoku here's got to speed up a bit and get this in this zone, but he seems to have just forgotten about it. And you'll note that he's now in range of that, so this now has higher reload. And he should really be moving it around, but if you're against 82nd, you don't really have to, because 105s aren't going to do anything to you. But yeah, it's nice to be in the habit of moving them after every shot. And yeah, the 3 howitzers have sort of worked out. I think bringing them at 1 vet by default and then giving them a... Yeah, you see the problem, right? And then giving them a CV to make them 2 vet is a better practice in 1v1 than bringing 4, because if you move them, they're not getting counter batteried. You gotta be a silly Billy to get counter batteried. See, it's done it again. I've got to report that. It's not shooting all the Zulis at once. It's always shooting at 8. And then the other one, like, they don't seem to have the same alignment profile. I got a screenshot of that. It's on the replay as well. We do it for free, right? But hey, the generous channel joiners, they're the ones supporting me. I get a lot of people saying, well, not a lot, but a common phrase that my detractors use is basically, Hippie's just trying to ruin the game so he can make meme videos and make money off it. It's not true. It's not what I'm doing. But it also doesn't make any sense, because you know, I'm a good person. But no, more people watch the videos if more people play in the game, right? The amount of win that you would get from a small funny meme video, right? Let's say 2k views on a 17-second video, right? Is not worth anything like the amount that I get if more people are playing the game, because then more people are watching the videos in general, all of them, right? As opposed to just the funny drama one or whatever. So it doesn't make sense from any perspective, but I realise that the people who are my detractors aren't watching this video. So yeah, Kensoku here, you know, he's done it. He's managed to take this back, and honestly, Red could have helped himself a bit there by using some smoke. Imagine if he had some smoke mortars. Obviously, he'd have to keep moving them because these would be coming for them. It's not easy. Smoke 105s, I think he had in his deck, right? You smoke here, you smoke here, you smoke here, and then your CV can sit here, right? And then, you know, you can have guys not just in the buildings. You see this has smoke. That's funny, his name is actually Small, and this guy's name is #small, so... Anyway, the really funny joke I wanted to make earlier, which isn't funny at all, and nobody's going to get it, is that I was going to ask him if he's a fan of derivation, because it says Diwarno, and so you would say dv by dt if you want to do the derivation of velocity over time. You say dv dt, right? Dv by dt. It's not funny, so that's why I didn't make it. So, not looking great for Red. He's basically, like, I don't know how fast this is going to tick up. But he needs to push this out, and he can't sit in the buildings because these are just going to keep hitting the buildings. Having said that, you know, Anime Man has made a crucial mistake here. So basically, when you're shooting at a building, right, he could be in this building, he could be in this one, he could be in this one, he could be in this one, right? And because of the way ARTY Splash works, he didn't fly so good, is, you know, this is basically... Oh, he's moved it. It's a shame. You see how that did nothing, even though it landed right next to him, right? So basically, you got to know exactly which part of the building he's in. That was a good kill. And this is also a big problem for the enemies of anime. This thing's paying for itself now. Wow, he's got to move it. So basically, what you do is you... and remember, he only had one anti-infantry bomber, and that died at the start. You'll know that from the deck review. You press C on this, and you see how it snaps to something. Where it's snapping to is where the infantry is going to be inside that building block. So you know where to artillery. How cool is that? So these are the advanced strats that you should know about. But yeah, it's not going well for Red here at all. It looks like Blue's got it, basically. I mean, he's got this zone. This is a bit of a weird one. Like, that needs to smoke right now or it's dead. Wow, that was because this was right in front of that. It it took the volley, it took the shot. But you know, I mean, they're both expensive. Uh, and so he needs a CV in here, and he needs to push him out of here, and he needs to push him out of here, or he's just going to lose. And without any smoke, I don't really see how he's going to do that. Just, yeah, too many plane purchases at the, you know, once he had the lead, he just bought way too many planes. Should have bought more cool stuff, right? Some dragons here would have forced... He eventually would have been pushed out of here, but the point is that there's only 40 minutes in the game, and you've got to try and survive those 40 minutes. Now, it could be argued that at the moment, 80 seconds survivability is just very, very low, and, you know, the higher level the players, the less effective this division is, because people know how to attack. But that's up to you, right? So even then, that seemed to fire 8 and then fire the other 8. It didn't fire them all at once. Alright, so he's trying to keep it alive so it doesn't get minstreled. But yeah, these could be a bit closer, you know, less travel time. Because it does take time. I do like how he's... Yeah, you need to put that further away, otherwise it just said it's fulfilled that order now. You need to have it like this. It's really annoying that there's no loiter in this game. Basically, when you call in a plane, you gotta hold shift and right click, right click, right click, right click, right click, right click. If you don't do that, it'll hover around here, and as soon as it sees an enemy plane, it'll just fly off into it and die. I've had that happen so many times. It's really annoying. But so yeah, this guy's trying to use his own smoke. But imagine a world in which you smoke here, smoke here, smoke here, and then you can chill out. You know, you can chill out, right? You could use your superior infantry ability, right? Smoke here, then all this fire support can't shoot you, and then you can run over here and get back in this building, which you should have been in the first place. But I think he died, right? These buildings are really cool. I never noticed this, right? The tall building, the tall square building actually does have superior vision. And so you see that, even though this says that it can't see that, it can. That is really weird, actually. That's interesting. Anyway. Over here, you know he's here, but the area he is taking up is so small that he is in danger of dying. But Blue needed to put like a Milan 2 in here, basically, and he hasn't done that. Or here. And, you know, Blue could have put a bit more effort into sweeping this. Obviously, it's not easy, but once you get a Toad 2 in here, they're not getting back in the zone. But instead he went for this, which has its advantages, right? You're on a +4, well, you were. Now it's +2. Oh, it's going to go back to +4 in a second. One could argue that Blue is spread a little bit too thin. And that is going to... okay. So if that was a regular hog, he'd be dead. So there you go. I think we've said that enough times. The regular hogs are just better. Decided. But yeah, I do like Blue's arty play. You know, there's merit to having 4 arty pieces, but it does slow you down a lot because you got to buy them all, and I think it's just better to just bring, if you're going to have 2 cards of paladins, bring them at 1 vet. If you're in 10v10, bring the 4, right? Because you're going to lose them to that 56Y funny cluster mortar thing anyway. But if you if you're not against 56Y, you can afford to bring 2. Vet, and then they'd be loading faster. Like, so obviously the 2 at 2 vet, because obviously the CV up vets them by 1, right? The 2 at 2 vet does not do more DPS than... Oh, that was a good kill, using the eagle to finish that guy off. But yeah, imagine if there was some smoke here, you know, smoke for blue, smoke the CV, smoke for red so he could advance, right? You could use smoke to your advantages. You could shape the battlefield in the way that you want to shape it. You can have control over your own destiny rather than just saying map bad, map bad. You can make your own map. Make your own smoke sandcastles. I was trying to get to a point here about the artillery. Yeah, so the DPS of 2 at 2 vet will be less than 4 at 1 vet, but the whole point is that you're saving 420 points, right? Which is what? How much is a reservist? 35. 55 for the transport, so, you know, call it 100 for 2. So that's 8 reservists. 7 or 8, yeah, it's more like 7, right? Because there's an approximation there. But yeah, I mean, imagine a world in which this guy had 8 more reservists. Would he have been able to hold this better? You know? Not so sure about that. He was going for the CV, right? So he's desperately trying to get this in here without it getting shot by 10 trillion enemies. And the problem he's got is that there's no smoke in front of him, so he's getting shot by 10 trillion enemies. Also, he seems to have right-clicked this, which is on attack move order over there, which means he's just sort of driving his CV in. Okay, he's noticed. So he's popping the smokes on the other things, which is something you can do. And yeah, imagine if he had a Milan 2 in here. Also, like, so he can see that. So I'm surprised that the cluster plane came in over here instead of coming for this, because he would have got that. Whereas this, there was not really a target there. So with 3 minutes left, I mean, it's getting very close. I do wonder who's going to win this. It sort of comes down to the ARTY snipes, but he's aiming at the wrong place, even though he knows where it is because it's shooting him. Yeah, it's very exciting. And the 105s have been purchased. He's hitting the buildings, but that's not where he is. He should know where he is now, because it literally just shot at him. And yeah, the helicopters tried to come in and immediately got smoked by the Gepards. Gepards are pretty good. Especially with that 3 armor and the smoke. And this died. And I'm not sure what got it. It might have been this. It could have. No, it wasn't this. But yeah, I think that means. Yeah, and then red got this guy over here with an LAV. But then that cluster got that Sheridan. Whew, I mean, this is crazy. It's coming down to the wire. All these little decisions are sort of stacking up. Both players making a lot of mistakes. Both players making a lot of good calls. It's getting really close. I mean, +1 to blue. Is it enough? Depends on these CVs, really. I mean, if he gets... we sent them both to the same place. And this is not... I mean, if this was coming this way, it could get in here. But then the LAVs would probably kill it, so... Yeah, imagine if these guys abused smoke, right? I mean, it's looking like it's going to be pretty tight. Imagine if... Smoke? Just use some smoke, please. Smoking saves lives. There's really only 2 pieces of advice that are given every game on this YouTube channel. 1, don't do a PhD. And 2, don't smoke. I mean, do smoke. Do smoke. Smoking saves lives. See, I can't even say it properly. But don't do the PhD. That's probably the biggest one. It's not worth it. I get a lot of people messaging me about that, actually. So there you go. Airborne leader goes down, but the Sheridan's still here. But the main thing is that there's no CV, right? And there's only 40 seconds left. So even though this is dead, it doesn't matter if this doesn't get here in time. And he's actually sent it for the +2. But yeah, the reason that Sheridan died is because he was trying to send it over here, but he could have just... I mean, obviously this probably would have killed it wherever, but... He could have put some smoke down, sat in the smoke. Imagine. Anyway. Humvee CV coming up here. I mean, it's getting pretty tight here. I think it's going to be a draw. Because you got to get a 50-point advantage to win. And it's... I mean, there's 5 seconds. So wow, that was a really, really close game. It was a really close game. GG. I thought that was a really cool game. So it is a draw. So yeah, credit to Anime Ninja Guy, rank 303, and Diwarno, rank 471. So pretty similar. This guy's got quite a few games, this patch, and this guy has a few less. But you know, so 605, 507. So this guy actually does have more games. But you can reset those and you know whatever. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing Airborne, you gotta learn when to smoke, how to smoke. I need to do a guide on smoking. But I can't be bothered. So I hope you enjoyed that game. GG.